So, just to clarify, you're watching movies, films with your cat.
Well, who else am I going to watch them with?
That's the stage. That's the stage you're at now.
Oh, I'm a 36-year-old woman who never leaves her house. Yes, that's the stage I'm at right now. Lockdown literally made no difference to me whatsoever.
Yeah, it would have been the same when you were a 21-year-old.
Yeah.
Really, to be honest.
I mean, to be fair, I was so locked down during lockdown that, you know, when the cat went out, he asked if I wanted the radio leaving on. Anyway, shut up and do the intro.
Hello and welcome all into the MO podcast. As always, you're here with me, Contumacious Ant.
I thought you weren't going to do it then. I thought you were so outraged at me telling you to shut up that you were just stunned into silence.
That'll be a first.
That's what I was thinking. That's why I was like, oh, hope I haven't offended him. Then I remembered I probably don't care that much.
Eat that and you need to try harder.
Yeah. Also, I'm a Treya. And this is the MO podcast.
There we go. We got there in the end. It only took us 4 minutes.
And I trod on your toes with the intro.
So, today... Pissed off now.
Enlighten me.
So today we are going to be talking about the second most famous Lizzie. Lizzie Borden.
Oh.
Obviously the first most famous one is Thin Lizzie.
What? You know, I'm not even going to question it. And don't really know what else I would have expected from you.
Thin Lizzie is very famous.
So is Queen Elizabeth I. So is Queen Elizabeth II. I thought we were going down that route.
But that... Okay.
In fact, so is Lizzie McGuire. But you really... It could have been so many Lizzies.
Oh my God.
You really left that one wide
90s
open.
kid, yeah.
Yeah, and? What of it?
Some of us were born in the 80s, darling.
Yeah, and you still watch Sabrina the Teenage Witch and Sister, and Kenan and Kel, and don't for 1 second tell me that you didn't.
Yeah, but for different reasons.
What different reasons were you watching Kenan and Kel? Actually, don't answer that.
Experimentation.
So, Lizzie Borden, enlighten me.
Yes. So, there's a famous rhyme about Lizzie Borden that I've never heard, and it's Lizzie...
What?
I'd never heard this.
How?
Because I didn't grow up in the United States.
Neither did I.
So how do you know it?
Because everybody knows about Lizzie Borden, dude.
Fine, fair enough. So I missed this train by 40 years.
So what is the rhyme?
So it goes, Lizzie Borden took an axe and gave her mother 40 whacks. When she saw what she had done, she gave her father 41.
Like she was chuffed with herself.
Yeah, and Wikipedia was quick to point out that that's incorrect because she only gave her father 11. So
It doesn't sound cool though, does it?
I know, yeah. I was like, there's no need to put that in. We all know that doesn't rhyme.
When she saw what she had done, she gave her father 11. Well, I mean, I guess they could have gone, when she saw what she had done, she gave her father 1 and 1. But then you might get some stupid people going, well, she only hit him twice.
Yeah. And there we go. A Trey is a wordsmith.
Gotta be good at something, haven't you? Wow.
So Lizzie Andrew Borden.
I mean, don't judge.
Yeah, no, whatever. Live your best life. Was born in 1860 in a small town in Massachusetts, and she and her older sister were brought up in a Christian lifestyle. Now, it kind of the time, isn't it, really? They're all brought up in a Christian lifestyle. But Lizzie did actually teach Sunday school as a young woman, so maybe she was more indoctrinated than most. So after the death of Lizzie's biological mother, Sarah, Andrew Borden remarried to Abby Gray. Apparently, Lizzie called her Mrs. Borden and didn't have a great relationship with her.
We've all got stepmothers like that.
Exactly, yeah. I kind of completely understand that. And she believed that Abby had only married her father for his money. But when...
Again, can relate to that.
Okay, digging up some old wounds there, Jesus. God.
Sorry.
It's not a therapy show. Come on.
God damn it. Spin-off.
Yeah, well, yeah, there you go. Jesus. We don't even need to talk about it. We've got loads of fucking content for that, haven't we?
We have.
Now, I'd kind of believe this, but Lizzie was only 6 when they kind of remarried, so maybe she was just a bitch.
She was a proper Sunday school girl. Those people don't come in bitch form.
Well, we shall see, won't we? So, in May of 1892, everything kind of went a bit crazy because her father Andrew decided to kill all the pigeons in the family barn with a hatchet.
The pigeons?
Yeah, so they had a load of pigeons roosting in the barn, and Lizzie had just built a roost for them.
How did he kill pigeons? Pigeons can fly.
Yeah, but he just closed the door in the barn and just went Joker on them with a hatchet.
Could they not just fly up into the rafters where he can't reach them?
And maybe Andrew was lithe. Maybe he was a very spry old man.
Or maybe the pigeons were just dumb.
Well, pigeons are dumb, really, aren't they?
They're very lazy, I know that much.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe they'd just been fed and couldn't be arsed and thought they were like...
Food coma.
Yeah, exactly. And then... So Lizzie was a little bit pissed off. And the reason that Andrew gave was that because they were attracting the local children to hunt them. So the local kids would break into the barn to kind of hunt these pigeons. So everyone was committing pigeonocide at this point in time.
Pigeonocide.
So Andrew either hated the pigeons or he hated the children who lived near him, which I kind of feel that, to be honest. So then in July of 1892, the Borden sisters had to take an extended family holiday after a family disagreement.
Is that a thing? If you have a disagreement, you have to take an extended family holiday? What? You will work through this, so help me God.
Apparently they couldn't, and what the disagreement kind of boiled down to was that Andrew was giving gifts of real estate to, quote marks, non-family members. So he just bought his sister-in-law a house.
Wow.
The girls, his daughters, were kind of obviously a little bit upset at this because they were like, whoa, that's my inheritance you're spending there. Pump your brakes.
Ovs. I'd be the same.
I need to secure that bag myself. After this disagreement, he bought the girls a house, which he sold it to them for $1, and then they sold it back to him for $5,000. So I don't know who his accountant was, but obviously he fell asleep at the wheel on that one.
Oh, I love that. That's brilliant.
It's just like, yeah, Dad, why are you buying everyone this stuff? Okay, I'll buy you something. Well, only if you buy it back.
Yeah. Like, here, I will sell you guys this house that I kind of technically just bought for you anyway. I'll only charge you $1. And they're like, okay, well, we didn't really like this one, Dad, so we'll sell you it back. Ugh, all right then. What's your price? Yeah,
well, real estate at this time. I know you bought it 30 minutes ago, but in that 30 minutes, skyrocketed.
Oh, Andrew, what were you thinking?
So, I mean, it is interesting to point out that Andrew was he was a bit of a Scrooge. There was no indoor plumbing in the family house, which, okay, it being the time, the time period, that was kind of common, but in affluent houses, it was very common when you made a bit of money that you'd, like, shit inside rather than go out and do it in a bucket. And they lived near the industrial area of town, which it wasn't a terrible area, but there was a lot more nicer areas in town, which he could reasonably afford, but he just never wanted to move to.
He couldn't afford it because he kept selling his daughter's houses for $1 and then buying them back off them for thousands of pounds, thousands of dollars even.
True.
That's where all his money was going.
Exactly. But he did actually get rid of his horse because the town introduced a horse tax.
Wow, what a skinflint.
Yeah. So I thought this was because there was like the new trolley system, trams were kind of coming into the thing, so the government would try to force people onto public transport, so to make it easier to get around. But apparently it was because large cities all around the world were drowning in horse manure.
As a person who lives in the countryside, yep, I totally would agree with that. It's just everywhere. Why don't they have to pick it up? People have to pick up their dog shit. Why do people not have to pick up their horse shit? I don't understand.
I once seen a police horse shit in Times Square, and it was the funniest thing I have ever seen in my life. It was like, that's illegal. What are you doing?
But the police horse was probably just like, mate, I am the law. If I want to shit here, I'm a shit here.
Exactly.
Sarge, tell him.
It was in the middle of Times Square. It was so fucking funny. But the Times newspaper at the time did predict in 50 years, every street in London will be buried under 9 feet of manure.
9 feet?
Yeah, I don't know who was doing the science on that.
Or did they just think that nobody was going to clear it away?
Yeah, I'm going to say 19th century wasn't great for horse manure speculation.
Well, I was going to go down to the park today, but looked out the window and there's 9 fucking foot of horse shit between me and the park.
It's like,
and I ain't got a boat.
These kids building manure men. I mean, they've already got carrots in them. They've already got carrots in them. They don't need to pot a nose. So
I feel like that statistic was maybe a little bit off.
Yeah, I think they may have just like grabbed at that and gone, yeah, why not?
Yeah, 9 foot. If by a half a foot's worth of horse shit, not a single person went, we should probably do something about this. This is causing a bit of havoc. Nah, we'll leave it. I think we can get another couple of foot out of this.
I think they
ended up. Yeah.
I think we were like, you know what? Duke Wellington has done us the boot. We'll manage for the next 5 years.
Yeah, the boot, not the waders.
If someone starts feeding them horses curry, we're all screwed.
I'll be like trekking to Mount Doom.
Just grab your boogie board and let's go. So during this backdrop of family arguments and disharmony, the entire family suffered a bout of food poisoning. Now, it was speculated that someone was out to get Andrew as he wasn't liked in the community. I mean, pigeon murder. Yeah.
Yeah.
And getting rid of his horse. So it was there was this kind of little speculation, but it was put down to mutton that they had left out on the oven for 4 days.
What?
Yeah, so they regularly ate mutton because it was cheap and horrible. And obviously no refrigeration, so they just went, I'll leave it there, it'll be fine.
4 days?
Yeah. Yeah.
It would have been green when they were eating it.
Yeah, I don't think Andrew was that bothered.
It'll be fine. Scrape the mould off and carry on eating.
Yeah, it'll last another couple of days, that. So, on the day of the murders, well, the day before the murders, August the 4th, 1892, John Morse was staying over. John was Andrew's first wife's brother. And before this point, they didn't have much contact, especially as his wife had died his sister had died 20 years ago, so it's a bit weird him rocking up and being there. But
it's very weird.
Whatever. On the morning of the murders, they chatted for about an hour about stuff, who knows, maybe financial stuff. But
He just rocks up after 20 years and they just chat for an hour.
yeah, it's not like he didn't see him after his sister's death, but it was sporadic. It wasn't like they kept in contact, and he wasn't going round, do you know what, like, just to see the kids or anything like that, because he was kind of a businessman, and you know what?
One of those relatives that only shows up when they want money.
Kind of, pretty much.
Yeah.
That's what he gives an air off. And at 8:50 a.m, John left to buy some oxen, because you can't buy horses now. Oxen shit is absolutely fine. No tax on that. And Andrew set off on his morning walk. At 11:10, Lizzie was heard to call out to their living maid, Bridget, who goes by the nickname Maggie Sullivan. She said, "Maggie, come quick. Father's dead. Someone came in and killed him." Now, Andrew was messed up. He was struck more than 10 times in the noggin, 11, as we all know, from the rhyme.
1 and 1.
Yeah. And one of his eyeballs was cut in two.
Oof.
Which, for some reason, indicated he was sleeping at the time.
What?
Yeah, I don't know how that came up, but yeah, that was in the research. So
I don't think that that's necessarily true.
no, it's just he got smashed in the eyeball with a hatchet.
At the right angle.
Yeah, that's all that happened. A neighbour found the body of Mrs. Borden, Lizzie's stepmom. Another neighbour just coming round having a nosy, like, oh, what's going on here then?
You know when it's always like cyclists and dog walkers that find bodies.
So
out in the yeah.
Joggers.
Joggers,
Never trust them.
This is the same thing. This is like, these are the olden day joggers. Like back in the day, it was always the neighbours who found your dead wife.
Yeah,
always.
Yeah. No one could jog back then because all the clothes were made of wool, and so this was it. It was just you invite your neighbours around and go, "Oh, he's dead. Just go and have a look if anyone else is dead in the house."
They just let themselves in as well, don't they?
Yeah, exactly. Not even invited. Oh, I just heard some noise. I'll just come in and have a nosy. What's going on? Oh, look at her head. In a bad way. Who's painted this room? Ah. So, her body was cold while Andrew's was warm. Therefore, she was killed earlier in the day. Now, that's the level of forensics we're at in 1890. So...
I mean, it doesn't take that long for a body to go cold.
Yeah, so...
After death.
What we know is she was killed some point before 11:10 a.m.
Right.
So Lizzie was quickly identified as a suspect because she had a bad attitude towards police. They thought she was too calm while being interviewed.
She wasn't really a big fan of her stepmom anyway, was she? Let's face it.
Exactly. And
Mrs. Borden's dead. Oh,
woohoo!
it's a shame.
Yeah. And I mean, as well, I think we've said, like, everyone grieves in different ways. So you can't just go, you should be crying. You should be ugly crying right now.
Yeah, exactly.
But she did tell contradictory answers to the questions that she was asked. So she said she took off her father's boots and gave him a foot massage with her tongue. No, that's wrong.
Ew!
No, that's wrong. Sorry. She gave him a foot massage and helped
Ew.
him into his slippers. But when the police turned up, he was still wearing his boots. So she was allegedly out in the barn, which was obviously the site of the pigeon massacre. She was looking for fishing equipment.
Thank God she wasn't looking for pigeons.
Yeah, beneath all the feathers. She was just like, oh, God.
Did she fish?
So this is a point of contention because the fishing trip was supposed to be a few days later. So she didn't need to be looking for this equipment. And the barn was supposed to be a really hot day, unusually hot. And when the police walked into the barn, they were like, fucking hell, like, I'm sweating balls in here. What's this about? And they couldn't stay in there that long. So this is why they thought it was weird. There was also dust allegedly in the barn that hadn't been disturbed. There was no footprints in this dust, so they were a bit, maybe she's lying. She also claimed that she heard a groan or some kind of distress call to the first officer that turned up on site, but when she was later interviewed, giving her testimony later on, she said she didn't hear anything. So and as well, she also claimed to be downstairs at the time of her stepmother's murder, but she didn't hear anything while her mother's head was being turned into like some kind of soup or ratatouille.
Well, we've had this before though, haven't we, in the Vasilla axe murder house?
Yeah.
No one heard it.
No one heard anything in there, and it's maybe you could get away with it. I don't know.
I suppose
but
it depends how thick the carpet was.
Exactly, and how if they just
squishy their head was.
Well, yeah, but if they just kind of knocked her out first and then went to work, I don't know.
Yeah.
Could be.
They did have really big hair in those days, so her hair might have cushioned a lot of the noise.
Could have been that. That's it. It could have absolutely been that. A big bun, big bouffant, and then that just muffles it, doesn't it?
Yeah. See?
It's like noise insulation. There you go.
Yeah.
So
Cut your hair short. There's a lesson.
There you go. And then people will be able to hear you being murdered brutally.
Yeah. When your head gets staved in, somebody will hear. Also, it might help to shout out, "Ow!"
Well, yeah, maybe make a noise if you are being brutally murdered. That's just good advice, really.
Rule 101, always make a noise when you're being murdered, because if you don't, your neighbours will have to find you.
Yeah.
That won't be very nice for them.
No, exactly. So there were murder weapons found in the basement. There was 2 axes and 3 hatchets, one with a broken handle that looked like it had dust had deliberately been applied to it for it to look rustic.
What?
Yeah.
How do you deliberately apply dust to anything?
I don't know.
I am definitely not telling Dave about that, because he's just going to be like, well, I just deliberately applied this dust to everything in the house after you've cleaned, because just did it for a bit crack, that's all.
I think it's like, do you know that Black Books episode? Have you seen Black Books?
Yes.
When they drink the Pope's wine.
Yes.
And then Bill Bailey is trying to put them back in the place, and he just picks up a load of dust and just wipes it on him. Yes. I think it was kind of like that.
That's a terrible idea. Also, I have questions about this.
Go on.
So, presumably, it only takes one axe to mash someone's head in.
Yep.
Why do they need so many axes and hatchets? Why are they all the murder weapons? Surely there's just one of them is the murder weapon.
Oh,
and it's
no.
probably one covered in blood.
Several suspected murder weapons.
So it had to be the one that looked used.
Well, maybe, yeah. But, I mean...
Like the one covered in brain matter, probably
dripping in blood. But we'll go back to, like, the Axeman of New Orleans. Everyone had an axe. And even when there was axe murders going on, no one got rid of their axes. They just went, no, keep it. See what happens.
True, but only an idiot would murder somebody with an axe and then put the murder weapon back where it came from. I'll just put this back in the barn. No one will think for a second. I'll just say, it's always been there. Everyone around here has an axe. How else do you think we chop wood?
Yeah, and that broken handle means nothing. Neither does that brain matter on it. That's from the pigeons. Pigeon brains, that. Test it. Prove me wrong.
They were super brainy. Huge brains. Should have seen them. Fat pigeons.
Yep, could be. But to be honest with you, none of this actually mattered because the police didn't take them away or do any investigation on these suspected murder weapons. They just went, axe is there. Yep. None of our business. So...
Good going.
Yeah. So because of the poisoning or suspected poisoning previously, both Andrew's and Abby's stomachs were removed to be examined during the autopsies, which these autopsies were carried out on the Borden's kitchen table.
Wow, classy.
Yeah. So...
And how many days previously did they get food poisoning, if that's what they're saying it was?
So it was about 3 days, maybe a week before this.
So then there would be no poison in their stomachs anyway.
Exactly, because when you get food poisoning, everything comes out of you. Like, both ways. You can't keep anything in.
But even if they were poisoned, like, arsenic poison, there still wouldn't be any arsenic left in their stomach, even if they did kind of pull through and get over it.
Oh, no. Oh, yeah. Of course. But, I mean, we've seen how forensics works. She's cold. She died before him. So, there you go.
Yes.
So, how they're going to do these tests?
Yeah, true.
Don't know. They also removed both of their heads during this autopsy.
Oh, God.
Yeah, so...
Why?
Just for shits and giggles, I think.
Look, we don't need the rest of the body because it's only the top bit that... really we need to be looking at how they died. Well, Sarge, it looks a bit like they were bludgeoned to death. Probably with an axe. There's quite a lot of them in the shed. Yeah, I know, but we want to rule out everything. Every eventuality. So we're going to take these heads and just, leave the bodies on the table. It'll be fine. We don't need those.
We'll just do proper tests on the heads. Yeah. Just heads and stomachs, that's all we need. Mm-hmm. We can make a haggis. Why not?
Ugh. Has anybody got a baking tray that's really difficult to kind of spoon this off the kitchen table? It's all in bits.
Check in the oven. It's 2 feet away from you. Just move that mutton out the way. It's been there a few days. It's starting to stink. So... This kind of like it just looks like an open and shut case from this, but on the 8th of August, Lizzie appeared before an inquest hearing into the murders. Now, with this inquest, this wasn't a criminal inquest. She hadn't been arrested at this point, so this was just like, well, what the fuck went on kind of thing.
Yeah.
But she was denied a lawyer. So she wasn't allowed legal counsel. She just had to answer the questions. And the reason for that being was there was a state statute that said an inquest must be held in private. So I don't know if it was just her and the coroner doing this or if there was any other people there. But there was no lawyer there.
I mean, a lawyer could still be private, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there was a district attorney there, so he was the one questioning her. And she was smacked up on morphine as well. They shot her full of morphine to calm her nerves.
I thought she was pretty calm, though.
Well, apparently now she'd lost the shit. And she needed to be on them downers. And the papers reported that she was quite jittery during giving evidence. No shit.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. And the district attorney, he was confrontational and aggressive towards her. And there was some evidence that came out about Lizzie, like the fact that the day before the murders, she was trapped to buy prussic acid, which is a poison. But she claimed that it was just for cleaning furs.
Well, they did use a lot of stuff like that for cleaning in those days, didn't they?
Exactly, yeah. So it could be like a benign thing that's just like a coincidence, and she's got furs to clean, obviously, because...
I mean, they have got a maid, though. Is that not something that maid would normally buy?
Maybe it was kind of a best fur, and she didn't trust it to Maggie.
Or maybe Andrew was just such a tightwad that they needed a lot more than one maid and he would only hire one, so there were some things in the house that Lizzie thought, I best give her a hand. Poor Chuck. She's stressed off her tits, trying to do everything.
To be honest, yeah, because the Abby was upstairs and she was actually changing the bed sheets.
Yeah.
So that's the reason why she was upstairs, because she got to change the pillows. So Maggie didn't do everything around the house.
That makes sense then.
It was everyone chips in kind of thing.
So Lizzie could have been buying something to clean her furs.
It could have.
Stop.
Yeah, she could. She.
Back it up.
Oh wow! No! Yeah, she could have been cleaning them. So.
You're the worst.
Yeah, I've got a bad imagination. So she was served with a warrant of arrest on the 11th of August, and she was indicted on the 2nd of December. Her trial started on the 5th of June the following year, and obviously, bang to rights, surely she did it. Except that 5 days before the trial, Bertha Manchester was found hacked to death in her kitchen.
Still think Lizzie did it?
Obviously, maybe she didn't do it.
Obviously, she didn't do it.
Now, at the trial, more evidence came out against Lizzie, she was seen ripping up a dress and burning it 2 days after the murder. Now, she claimed it was covered in paint, but it was never investigated. No one ever stopped her. No one ever found this during the police investigation, this dress. It just appeared and was being burned.
Well, I'm not being funny, right? But she's not the first, and she's certainly not going to be the last girl to hate an item of clothing so very much that you rip it up and burn it. We've all been there.
This is the thing. And as well, the dresses back then, they weren't they didn't have Velcro on the crotch and you could just rip them off. Do you know what I mean?
Horrendous.
Yeah. There was a whole, system of pulleys and God knows what else for you to be able to get into these dresses. Getting up in the morning getting in your clothes must have taken, a week.
I mean, maybe it was one of those things, where, I had to stop myself because I actually ended up donating it all to, the clothes recycle banks and stuff, because I, before lockdown, was a size 8. And now I'm a size 14, and I just wanted to burn all my size 8 stuff because they reminded me of now how much of a fatty I am, that I don't fit into anything that I bought all those years ago. So I wanted to burn each and every single item of size 8 clothing, but I didn't. I restrained myself. Well, maybe Lizzie just didn't restrain herself. Maybe she was like, I don't fit into this fucking dress anymore. Burn it all to hell.
Definitely. I get that. And as we may allude to in a bit later on, that maybe she was going through changes and she didn't want to be reminded of that past thing that she was forced to be.
Yeah.
So I get that 100%. The same witness also claimed that Lizzie had confessed to her a sense of foreboding, and that Lizzie told her that she wanted to go to sleep with one eye open half the time for fear of somebody might burn the house down or hurt her father because he was such a discourteous person.
Right, so Lizzie called it, let's face it. She called it, she didn't do it.
Yeah, he was a dick. I mean, he was known as being a dick, and some people were like that. I mean, the same. It echoes throughout time, doesn't it? Some people are like that nowadays. Some people, you just want to take a hatchet to the head. But
yeah, like the police probably said to Lizzie. So let's start with the easy questions. Did your father have any enemies? Yes, officer.
Pigeons.
The entire town.
All the pigeons in the area hate him. They shit on him all the time.
All the people, all the animal kingdom.
That's why he got rid of his horse. Covered in shit. Covered in pigeon shit. He couldn't park it anywhere in this town. So after 15 days of trial, Lizzie was found not guilty by the jury. Now, this was probably due to the fact that the judges declared the inquest testimony inadmissible due to the fact that she had no legal representation, which is 100%, it should be. She should have been represented by a lawyer there, unless she waived her right to it. And she shouldn't have been, smacked up beforehand. No. So, they also ruled that Eli Benz, who was a local shopkeeper, couldn't give his first-hand account about Lizzie trying to buy poison, as it was ruled that the incident was too remote in time to have any connection with the case.
Right. So it was probably like when the shopkeeper was like, yeah, she definitely bought poison from me. She was probably trying to kill her dad. Lizzie, did you buy poison from this man? Yeah, 6 years ago. I haven't been saving it up this whole time.
Yeah, but I think that because it was in the run up to the murder, so it was less than a week. She tried to buy this poison to clean the furs, so it was less than a week away from the murders. But the judges got rid of the jury, and they got experts in to kind of see if this was an admissible piece of evidence, because they were like, is this going to kill someone? Da, da, da. So they actually got farriers in, they got people who knew about the poison at the time, etc. And the judges ruled on that. So it must have been just like, this guy was trying to go, he put 2 and 2 together and came up with 5.
Yeah.
Well, she tried to buy poison and they're hatcheted to death. It's the same thing. It's got to be the same thing, obviously.
Yes.
So I think that's more of him just trying to tell a tale and to be part of this.
Yeah.
Rather than what it was. But just before the jury retired to make their decision, the judges did remind them that the prosecution had to prove beyond reasonable doubt. And as much as circumstantial evidence, it may sound good, it's not actual proof. It's just, maybe this happened. And Justice Dewey told the jurors that they should take into account Lizzie's exceptional Christian character, which entitled her to every inference in her favour.
I mean, she was apparently very polite.
Not to the police, but yeah.
I mean, they were dosing her up on morphine.
Well, yeah, what do you want?
Exactly.
Turned her into a smackhead, bastards.
1 minute they were all like, look at her, she clearly did it. She's showing no signs of remorse, no signs of guilt. Look at her, she's so calm. And then half an hour later, the reality sits in that her parents have just been hacked to death horribly, and she was there, and she was like, oh my god, I think I'm having a panic attack. Quick, shoot her up with morphine. The bitch is losing it. I mean, what do they want? What do they want out of her?
Exactly. They just stride over to her and go, hey, baby, first one's free. It's what pimps do, by the way. Not that I know. I mean...
Not going to ask.
Yeah.
Not going to ask.
It's my doctor again. After the verdict was read, Lizzie began to cry. She hugged her sister and said, now take me home. I want to go to the old place and go at once tonight. Outside the courtroom, she told the press that she was the happiest woman in the world. No, not met my wife, has she? No. She's definitely not. But so, not much later, Lizzie and her sister bought a house in the better part of town, which was called The Hill, which is where Andrew refused to move to because it had indoor plumbing, and that was the devil's work, apparently. They had several staff, so not just one.
Not just Bridget.
Loads of them. They even had a coachman.
And horses, then.
Yeah, exactly. They didn't give a shit about the tax. They were
getting them horses back.
Take out my inheritance, bitches. But in 1905, Lizzie's sister Emma, she moved out of the house after an argument over a party that Lizzie had thrown. Now, the party was for the actress Nance O'Neill, who some gossips claimed was up to no good with Lizzie's bits and pieces. It's kind of...
I love how you just put that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure that's how the headline read as well. to be
Up to no
honest.
good with Lizzie's bits and pieces.
Yeah, so it was claimed that there was a romantic link between these people. It was never proved. Neither of them ever admitted to this kind of thing. But the argument was so bad that Emma never spoke to or saw Lizzie again.
What difference would it make
What?
if Lizzie and some woman were together?
Because it's not even 1900s. It's, well, this
Yeah, I
was,
know,
I
but
think it
Lizzie's
was
well over marriageable age. In fact, she's probably well over childbearing age at this point. She's in her 30s, isn't she?
Yeah, exactly.
Forget about it.
Yeah. But
She might not live till she's 37.
This is the thing that it was all frowned upon, and I mean, we go back to the burning of the dress. Maybe this was a turning point for her, where she just went, you know what, fuck it, that's my old life now. Dad's gone, he can't tell me what to do. Like Mrs. Borden's gone as well. They can't judge me, although they do from up in heaven because she was very religious, and God judges everything you do. But maybe that's what she thought with burning the dress and moving on into this life, and maybe Emma just didn't accept it because it wasn't a done thing, was it? It's not, especially when you brought up that in that Christian mindset.
I know, but I still think, like, in society, I guess it's probably as much of a stigma being an old spinster woman living with your sister. I say old spinster woman, early 30s, was old spinster woman back in those days. Unmarried, living with your sister and probably 12 cats. Not that there's anything wrong with living with 12 cats.
There we go.
Then probably it's the same stigma in being gay back then. It's like 6 and 2 3s. Like, what do you want to be the crazy lady of the village for? Do you want to be the crazy lady of the village for being old, unmarried, and living with your sister and 12 cats, or do you want to be the crazy lady of the village for being gay? It's really 6 and 2 3s at this point. It's totally your choice.
It is, yeah, I get that, but we're saying that as don't want to use that word, but in a little bit of a sense of entitlement because we're looking at it from our mindset that we've got now.
True.
We weren't brought up then, so we don't know what kind of... I mean, she was still 30 and living with her father.
Yeah, I know, right? Like, that's...
So that, do you know, that would have been... And I think it was kind of the time of you only moved out when you got married. You didn't go and live on your own.
Yeah.
So she was stuck between a rock and a hard place. She either had to marry someone that she didn't love or marry, I don't know what the male equivalent of a beard is, but have that kind of relationship with someone and move out or live with her father until like the day he died.
Oof.
You know, I mean, I'm not saying in any way, shape or form she went, you know what, I've had enough of living under this roof, I'm going to kill him, because I don't think she did it. I think there's enough holes in this case. I only think the scandal is, or why it's so scandalicious, is because of her not having a lawyer at the inquest trial, and because she wasn't a married woman.
Yeah.
I think that's the only reason why it is. Now, you can come up with you can read any kind of testimony and pick holes in it as much as you can always find a hole in something. But again, circumstantial evidence, I'm not...
You.
Yeah. But circumstantial evidence is just that, it's circumstantial. You can't put 2 and 2 together and hopefully come up with 5. It's never going to happen.
So you don't think she did it?
I don't think she did it. I just think she was a sheltered, like, closeted lesbian that wanted to do the right thing, but because of a Christian upbringing, she was going to have to live under that roof, and through a series of coincidences, she managed to get out of that. I mean, there was a... Go on.
Go on. There was a theory, wasn't there, that she was having an affair with Bridget?
Yes.
that they were in cahoots and killed Andrew and Abby.
Yeah. But there's also a theory that Bridget killed them because she was asked to clean the windows on a particularly hot day.
Yeah.
So...
I mean, everybody has a breaking point, Aunt. They were really heavy, really, really hot dresses. You said it yourself.
Exactly, yeah. And she couldn't do it like a car wash because that would set Lizzie off. So...
And apart from anything, she probably was like, how many things do I have to do in this fucking house? Now I've got to clean the windows as well. I've got a fucking chore list as long as my arm.
I know, I'm already making 4-day-old mutton. I've cut as much green off it as I can. There's moss growing on it now.
Well, there was another theory, wasn't there, that Bridget and Lizzie were like best friends kind of thing, not in a romantic way, in a very platonic way, and that Andrew used to treat Lizzie like shit, and that Bridget kind of got pissed off with him one day and just hacked him to death.
Yeah, I mean,
and that Lizzie covered for her.
I
don't think Lizzie did it, and I don't think Bridget did it. I don't think Lizzie's sister did it. I think it was somebody that's never been caught.
Yeah. I mean, and as well, because there was a Hatchet murder in the same town.
Yeah.
In the same year.
Yeah.
Or the year later. There was there's testimonies, witness statements have said that they saw someone they'd never seen in town outside the house the night before the murder. And as well, Andrew, brother-in-law, John Morse, he is also kind of was a suspect for a while. But
that would make sense, though.
Yeah, I think that would be more sensible when he sees how... I don't know how he would figure in the... If something happened to Andrew, how the distribution of wealth would fall to him. But I can see how when he's splashing all this money on his new wife's family and his sister didn't get shit off him.
Yeah.
I can see how that could have rubbed him the wrong way.
Totally.
And I think there was something that the doctor that came round was... He said, I was with the doctor all day, but the doctor went to do the autopsy on Andrew. So he kind of got caught up in his own little lie as well there.
Was there only one doctor in the whole town?
Probably. I mean, I was going to say it's a one-horse town, but it ain't even that because of the horse tax.
But, right, so think about it this way. Like, I know I'm, like, clutching at straws, but it's just an example. And no, I'm not going to link this to the Sons of Sam, don't worry. Yeah. So we've got, like, a good Christian family who are hacked to death in Massachusetts in, 1892? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
And then we've got a good Christian family that are hacked to death in a house in Vasilla in 1912. It's not that many years apart.
So this is the thing as well, because there's the book, The Man on the Train. Mm-hmm. And I've not read it. I've started it. And I will read it. But in that book, they kind of say there was this one guy who just followed the railroads and just got off in towns and murdered people.
Yeah.
And it could easily be... How hard was it just to kill someone and just go to the next town?
Well, exactly. Not very hard at all.
Back then, I mean...
They didn't have mobile phones, no GPS in cars, no ATM machines, no CCTV. You just kill somebody and then jump on a train and crack on.
That's it as well. And I mean, at the time, it's a time of... I'm not going to say the Old West, but the Old West was transitioning into the kind of New West. So it's a time of movement. So you had new people coming into town every day peddling the wares. Like, it's door-to-door salesmen were the only way these people got stuff. Mm-hmm. So you just rock up in a new town and go with your suitcase of dreams and try and sell people stuff. So it and maybe the hatchet in your back pocket just in case they didn't want to buy it.
Yeah.
I think it could have just easily just been some random thing. Now, again, it's like Van Gogh with the first thing. I don't think it was the first thing, but one of the things, the bit of research that I looked at was 14 reasons why Lizzie Borden killed her father. And the first one is, well, if she didn't do it, who did?
I mean,
well, that's
a silly question.
Yeah, I mean, 6 million people. Let's just put it at that. It could have been anyone in the world.
They didn't lock the doors. The neighbours just walk in. It could have been literally anybody.
Exactly. I mean, the neighbour found the mother's body. You know what I mean? It's like
the neighbour could have done it.
This is the thing. They again with the Villisca axe murderer. Wasn't it the senator who was on the hook? Mm-hmm. For it as well. It was like he genuinely could have done it, and he is a very good suspect for it.
Mm-hmm. Or it could have been the train man.
Oh yeah, that as well.
I mean, there's some serial killers that like murder for decades and decades before they're caught or never caught. You know,
it's true, and they don't care about the fame and the infamy. They just want to do it just to do it.
Yeah.
It is as open and shut at that. Some things you just are never going to know. And I think this is one of them, to be quite honest.
But what we do know is Lizzie didn't do it.
I wouldn't say 100% on it, but 83 maybe.
I mean, I lived back with my parents for a little while, and I mean, I didn't want to hack them to death, but I really wanted to, like put salt in their tea instead of sugar or something like that.
I get
burn their toast.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, yeah, I did the same, and
it's hard going.
Yeah, I get it. Why are you hoovering at 5 a.m, Mum? What the fuck? You can clean any time of the day. Oh, I just want to get it out of the way. I'm fucking sleeping.
Exactly, right? So, I mean, Lizzie potentially could have just got sick of it, but, I mean,
we've all been there.
We have not hacking our parents to death there, but
no.
We've all felt, a bit crowded, like Lizzie probably did, but, yeah, I just don't think she killed them.
No. And as I think the only infamy this story has got is because of the rhyme, because it's like ring a roses, isn't it? Mm. Is it about the Black Plague? It's not about the Black Plague, is it?
Yeah.
Is it? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
The Black Death, yeah.
Yeah. So I think I'm not saying. The only reason why the Black Death is infamous is because of a children's song. Obviously, it fucked up a lot of people.
Wiped out 2/3 of the entire world's population.
Yeah,
that's probably where its fame came from.
Yeah. But this, like in this, it's taught to children, and you hear that apocryphal tale kind of thing, and it's like the guy with the hook in the Lover's Lane. It turns into one of them urban legends.
Well, I think Lizzie Borden as well. It was quite heavily sensationalized in the media, wasn't it? Like it was on the front page of like every newspaper ever. Again,
yeah, it's one of them Sam Shepard stories, but back in the day when there was nothing else to be reporting on, this took the whole town by storm. And with the papers as well, there was two different papers had opposing arguments to it. One was, oh no, she's a Christian, upstanding citizen, she could never have done this. And one was like, oh, something going on there, let's stir it. So it's kind of like tabloid and a broadsheet kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I think, they would just try to sell copies, and much to the detriment of this poor young woman's life.
Do you want to go and stay in the B&B though?
Do you know what? I would love to. That and Villisca.
Was that a B&B as well?
Yeah. They've turned it
Nice.
into, and you can stay overnight. I think it's like $300 or something. They're milking that for all they can.
They definitely are. I know it sounds like really morbid and stuff, but I think it would be really interesting.
Oh no, I think it would be. I mean, it is still there, and it still is done up in the way it is, in the way it was. They've not put any new stuff in, so it's
Oh, God, I hope they change the couch.
Well, yeah. I know they've got pictures of the of the corpses
bodies,
in there. Yeah, they've got them hanging on the wall like that, front and centre. Oh, lovely, great.
Would you like 2 rashers of bacon or just the one in your breakfast this morning?
I'm good, I'm going vegan.
Ketchup? No thanks.
Oh.
Haggis, anybody?
Oh.
Not for me, thanks.
I've just cut my boiled egg in half. Oh, God. Bring
Anyone
back
for porridge?
So many memories.
No. But I would think it'd be very, very interesting to go.
It would be. Just to get a feel of the actual time, and just to see the barn where they killed all them pigeons, bastards. Bastards. It's the worst thing out of this whole story.
I know, right? I would say he deserved to die just for that alone.
To be fair, yeah, I mean...
What did they ever do to him?
I'd probably shit on him, but still, I mean... Picasso's dad would be livid. Maybe it was him. Maybe he did it. This is my artwork, you bastard.
And then it turns out Picasso's dad is actually the man on the train, who then went to the Vasilla Axe Murders house before it was the Axe Murders house. He made it into the Axe Murders house and then told his son to paint a picture about it. There'll be a picture somewhere. Picasso dad, he liked a lot of squares. There's presumably one that's hatchet-shaped.
So Picasso died in, like, the 70s, didn't he? So this timeline kind of adds up.
Yeah.
Holy shit, we've done another one.
Totally.
There
to be
you go.
fair, like, Van Gogh probably figured it out and was probably bumped off for it.
Silenced.
Yeah? Silenced.
Silenced by the fine art mafia.
And you know what? You know what it boils down to? Picasso was of the elite. He was a bit out there. He was a bit strange. He loved the ladies. Mm-hmm.
Goddamn Illuminati.
He was one of the Sons of Sam. Okay, you want to go down the Illuminati route? Okay, well.
Who
Sons
were
of Sam, Illuminati, same thing.
Who were probably members of the Sons of Sam. Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Oh my God. We're going to be silenced.
Busted this wide open.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, on that bombshell. This has been the MO podcast, as always with me, Contumacious San.
And me, Atreya.
Thank you all so much for joining us, and we shall see you next time.
The
Bye.
MO podcast. The MO podcast. The MO podcast.